expect everyone to know or care about what's happening in New York, you know? Which is why I was surprised that the nation seems so gripped by New York City's mayoral race. Like, this, people talk about it everywhere because I think it's just feels like a beta test for something bigger, you know? In case you're not familiar with who's running, right? You have to understand who's running to understand what's happening. Eric Adams is the mayor of New York City. And Eric Adams, in case you don't know, is one of the worst people at corruption I've ever seen. Like, you know what I mean? Like, have a little mystery about you. Like, it's just, I feel like I could pay him off, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, like, one day when they make, like, his corruption is just, it's not enough, you know what I mean? If you're gonna be corrupt, go all in. He'd be having me feel bad for him. You know what I mean? You did all this corruption, that's all they gave you? You should have asked for more. It was very upsetting. If they ever revisit this chapter in New York mayoral history, everybody gonna be disappointed. Be like, flights? He went down for flights? Just tickets? You know what I mean? You had a dude in Illinois at least going down for gold bars. That's real corruption. That's like cartoon corruption. You know what I mean? Like, he took it back to the 50s level corruption. Break me off some gold bars, I'll get you anything you want. That's mustache twiddling, tying women to railroads corruption. That's crazy. And you over here embarrassing us as New Yorkers. This is a very rich city, and you going down for a couple flights to Turkey. Turkey! It's insane. But anyway, this dude got indicted. Indicted while in office, but because he has no shame, everybody was like, he gonna step down, right? Like, he got stepped down once he's indicted. That's too embarrassing to go to work indicted. The closest thing I can imagine to, like, okay, okay, this is bad, my bad. Look, so when I was a kid, I mean, I was a little bit older, but my buddy's dad got in trouble, and he got a little time. He had to do like a year, right? But he did, one of the crimes, I still don't understand this, one of the crimes where you get to report to jail. Like, you get to report to, that's always weird, because whenever you watch Law and Order, they take you like, jail start right after usually that's jail, you know what I mean? Like, usually they take you out, I didn't do it, right? But for some reason, they told him he was guilty, but they let him, get his stuff in order, and he could report to jail. And that weekend, his son, my friend, took the car without permission and came home a little later than curfew. And clearly, his kid may be like acting out of frustration about things that are going on with his dad, but he gets home and his dad's very upset with him, and he's like, you didn't ask for permission for the car, you're supposed to be home by 10, I'm sorry, but you're grounded. And my buddy was like, no, I'm just throwing it out there, because which one of us got to go to jail on Monday? Like, it sounds like you grounded. It sounds like you really the one in trouble here. And that's kind of what it felt like with Adams. He's like, still trying to be a mayor, talk about crime and stuff. Over here talking about crime in the city. And so then you also have Curtis Sliwa. And Curtis Sliwa is the Republican running. And he's an interesting dude. He is. He's like the head of the Guardian Angels. If you don't know what the Guardian Angels are, they're basically these people who hang out on the subway. You know the movie The Warriors? All right, it's like that, but if one of the gangs wanted to be the police. Like, all they really do is just fight black and brown people that they think are doing a crime, and sometimes lose the fight very badly because they are getting older. And Curtis Sliwa, like, I guess I could slightly see how someone like him ends up like him, because he does have a story of violence against him for every story you bring up about New York City. Like, you'll be like, hey, do you ever take the yellow cab? He's like, I was shot in the back of a yellow cab in 1986. And you're like, how has this much happened to you? But Curtis Lee was running as a Republican. And then you have Andrew Cuomo. Andrew Cuomo is a former governor. And now he is running for mayor because governor turned out so well. And then you have Zohran Mamdani. And Zohran Mamdani almost feels like a fixture of politics at the moment, because he is someone who seems to be the antidote for the thing that's been ailing the Democratic Party maybe for like 9 years. You know? This is a dude who is running on what he will do and his own policies that he believes in. And it's one of the first people, Democrat or Republican, that is running without really having to say anything about Trump. He has his own ideas. He has things he wants to do for the place that he is running. He's not running on being not like Trump or closer to Trump or someone Trump will call or someone that Trump hates. He is not using Trump in his orbit. People bring him up, but he himself is saying, I want to make the buses fast and free. I want to have free child care. I want to freeze the rent for rent-stabilized homes. And I want to make sure that we hold bad landlords accountable. Things that are very specific, because that's the other thing that it feels like the Democratic Party has been missing, is a clear and concise plan for a policy, something that you can attach yourself to, that you don't really need to get in the weeds for. Because I'm not saying that Democratic senators and Democratic candidates have not had good plans. I'm just saying that once you need a graph, we are a country that doesn't like to read. It doesn't matter if it's a pie chart, it's still reading. Because one of the things that they've come after Mamdani about over and over and over again about his policies, how are you going to pay for it? How are you going to do this? How do you plan to pay for it, right? And one thing that he's done very well is had a quick and simple explanation for his plans to pay for something, So when they ask him about maybe the bus system or maybe more rent stabilization, he'll say, oh, we already spend this much money. So for the buses, he's like, we already generate $700 million in a bus fare. I think that would, is clearly money that we could use towards a free bus system. Also, all we have to do is raise the corporate tax rate and we'll have billions of extra dollars that could go towards childcare, billions of extra dollars that could go towards like a bus system. And then they're like, well, how do you plan to pay for it? Raising the corporate tax. Well, what will happen? If you raise the corporate tax, people will leave. Where you raise the corporate tax to? And he'll be like, oh, I'm just raising it to the same as New Jersey. Like what they already do right there. Like they actually already do it over there. I guess you didn't know that, but it's already I would just copy them. It wouldn't be higher than that. Like I would copy what they do over there. And I don't know, is everyone dead in New Jersey? I don't think so. I don't think everybody left. In fact, a lot of people moved there. So I think they'll be fine. But I don't think that Zohran is leading in the polls or is the Democratic candidate because of his clear and concise policy. I don't even think it's his youth. I don't even think it's because he's captured a moment. I think that he is the front runner because he, more so than anybody else, to a degree I've never seen before, is the number one. I'm telling you, the number one. Of all time, the number one Andrew Cuomo hater. He hates this dude. He hates this dude so much. He hates this man. He wake up and hate him. He wake up and he hate him with a smile too. You ever had somebody hate you with a smile? It makes you feel crazy. You're like, what you just said to me was foul, but you're smiling. Why are you smiling? No, he hates this dude. And look, don't get me wrong, they all hate him. Like every candidate hates Cuomo. Eric Adams hates Cuomo so much that even though he had zero chance of winning, even though he was actually campaigning, this man was like, look, I'm gonna do it better next time. And we're like, do you mean crime? Do you mean... Eric Adams, he's even, look, to his credit, he is stumping with Cuomo. He's over there side by side with Cuomo and everything, probably looking for a job because he's about to be out of one. You know what I mean? Like, he is out there with Cuomo, but you can tell he hates this dude. Sliwa hates him. Curtis Sliwa hates Cuomo. He hates Cuomo so much that he was actually asked, by a reporter, you know, you're over here getting about 11% in the polls. Why not drop out if you don't want Zohran to win that much? Why not drop out? And clearly the people voting for you might also vote for Cuomo. And then Curtis Sliwa looked really offended. He was like, why would I drop out? People like me. This man is running as a Republican in New York City, and he's still like, I'm not gonna drop out if it helps him. Zohran Mamdani hates Cuomo. He hates that dude so much. Hates him so effectively. Real hate. I've never hated somebody so much. I learned all their stats. Zohran hate Cuomo so much, he memorized everything Cuomo ever did wrong and bring it up any chance he get. That's generational hate. I think Andrew Cuomo hates Andrew Cuomo because he running. It's like, why are you putting yourself through this? You know, man. Because then you look at the debates. Okay. This is very important. I gotta go back in the story for a second because Andrew Cuomo wasn't always hated. Even if you hate him right now, think back to a time where you didn't even know who he was. That time he was like beloved. People forget all about it because that's kind of what we do whenever somebody has lost favor in the public eye. A lot of people say they never liked him or that they don't really know why anyone ever liked him. But people loved Cuomo, especially 2019 into 2020. People loved that dude. People loved Cuomo so much. I think that's why people hate him so much now. Because everything he did feels like such a betrayal of their love. You know, people were out here calling themselves Cuomo-sexuals. Look it up. That's a real thing. People loved him so much. And then he got popular around the same time that like zaddy became a term and everything. So he was riding some of that wave and stuff. And you know, there were people, oof. Cuomo couldn't go anywhere without middle-aged women fawning. They were like, oh, he's so handsome. They loved Cuomo. And then COVID came. And for a little while, they loved him even more because New York's numbers during COVID looked really, really bad initially. Obviously, it would. It's an epicenter of travel. People go there from all over the world, and we're also on top of each other all the time, pandemic or no pandemic. But then we saw these huge numbers that scared everybody, and Cuomo's like, we're going to take this seriously, we're going to lock everything down, and he announced a bunch of policies. As soon as he announced those policies went into effect, and you saw the numbers crater. It was genuinely amazing to watch. It really felt like there was a lot of hope, and everybody was going to live, and this is a long time before the vaccine came out or anything, so it was when people were at peak fear, right? But it was a wild time in New York because we had shut down so effectively that for the first time in New York City, the air was clean. You could take a deep breath. And then later, there was a scandal. Basically, it was exposed that Cuomo was doing some of the same things that Ron DeSantis was accused of doing in Florida, because Florida also had some pretty good numbers during COVID, which is weird because they didn't have any real shutdowns. They didn't have any real mask regulations or anything like that. But then both Cuomo and DeSantis were caught just not reporting or telling people not to report certain numbers. And it turned out that New York was looking really, really good in certain sections of the lockdown, except for nursing homes. And so the thing that's really important about that is that if you see the numbers going down and you've set up a bunch of policies, you'll think, okay, we should just keep doing this, see if the numbers go down further, right? If the numbers go up, you're like, clearly we need to change something. So because we did not have those markers of spikes, we didn't change things. And so there were a lot of seniors that died that didn't need to. They died in nursing homes because of protocols that just didn't have enough evidence around them and weren't the best practices, right? And he was covering it up. Some were saying by 50%, right? And so people started to like him a heck of a lot less. And then at the same time, basically in tandem, he was accused by about 11 women of sexual harassment. Then it was 13. That's stats. Those are numbers. Double digits, you doing it. You are clear. 13 women who don't know each other all got a story about you. That's you. You doing it. All of a sudden, nobody was Cuomo-sexual anymore. And everybody was telling this dude to resign, but he tried to fight it. He was like, I'm gonna fight these allegations. You're gonna see my name's gonna be cleared. And we were like, all right, but even if they clear your name on these sexual harassment allegations, you still did the nursing home thing. And so everybody from Joe Biden to Eric Adams was telling this dude to resign. And he finally resigned 2021, and now he's running for mayor. That's just important to make sure you know, because I've watched people struggle before in a way that was kind of what looked like a bit of a lost cause. I try to be optimistic for people that are in my life, but I'll give you an example. My buddy wanted to enter an arm wrestling contest, and we are built the same. I'm never going to tell anybody not to follow their dream, but I won't let someone sleepwalk off a building. And so I was like, are you sure? Because, you look like a mirror right now, and I'm not entering any arm wrestling. But he's like, no, I want to do it. Been watching online, so cool. There's actually a tournament coming up. I want to go. And so, I went with him. We went, and this dude squares up. It's one of those ones where they got the peg on one side, so you grab it, and they got your arm with the pad for your elbow. And sure enough, they went. And as soon as they started, he was over here. And I couldn't believe that this man was actually winning. He was like pushing the arm down, and then he won. I was surprised. Like when people got that farmer strength? You don't see any like real definition of muscle. It's all smooth, but they're incredibly strong. I was like, maybe that's him. And then I watched him from round to round. This man got to the semifinals. And at the semifinals, somebody walked up who really did look like a final boss. In my head, I was like, you've done very well for yourself. It's time to pack it up before he take that arm for good. It's gonna pop right out the socket. You're gonna leave with one. And sure enough, he squared up. And then they told him to go, and he, But this was different. This dude wasn't really moving, but he was really strained, even leaning a bit. And then he started to make noises he hadn't made in the other rounds. Once you scream in an arm wrestling contest, you have lost something. This man, and he's straining, and he's straining, and he's straining till finally he goes, and he won. Now, to be fair, he won because the other guy went, and apparently that is a disqualification. Yeah, even when we were in the car ride home, we did have to leave. He didn't get to go to the finals because even when we were in the car, I was over there trying to be optimistic. I was over there like, at least you won. I give you an example of how much Zohran Mamdani hates Andrew Cuomo. In the first debate, right? In the first debate, it was Curtis Lewa, Zohran Mamdani, and Andrew Cuomo all on stage together. Really, the race is between these two, but every once in a while we throw Curtis a question. And Cuomo's talking, and he goes, look, this is not a job. Being a mayor of one of the richest, biggest cities in the country is not a place for on-the-job experience. You know, this guy's never had a job before, and I don't think he can run the city. He definitely can't run it like I can. I can do a much better job. This is not a job for experience while you're in it. You gotta know, you gotta come with plans of what you're gonna do. And then, to his credit, Zohran, it's like, I do have plans for what I'm gonna do. I've stated my plans clearly. Your only plan is to attack me. And Cuomo also came at him with a couple of things that are like talking points that a bunch of the candidates have used that they're not really clicking for me, but I don't know. Maybe I just don't have enough Islamophobia to have it register. But one of the things that Cuomo brings up is like, this man still, won't denounce the phrase globalize the Intifada. All right? He's over here lobbing accusations at me. He still won't denounce the phrase globalize the Intifada. What Andrew Cuomo is referring to, supposedly, is a time where someone else said it and Zohran didn't, I guess, tackle them. This isn't language that he used. It's not something he said. It's something that someone else said that I guess he didn't do enough about in Cuomo's eyes, right? Mamdani responded, well, look, you're talking about things that are from 2020. And since we're talking about things that are from 2020, I don't know why, people would elect a mayor who sent so many seniors to their deaths in nursing homes. What I lack in experience, I make up for in integrity. And for what you lack in integrity, you could never make up for in experience. And I've never watched any debate like a rap battle. I was sitting in front of the computer like, oh! Get him! No, it's wild. Even Curtis Lewa got in digs on Cuomo. Cuomo was catching it from all angles. Because then, they were talking about the accusations that had been lobbed at Cuomo during his time as governor. And Curtis Lewa goes, really? You spent all that money defending yourself? Really? All 13 women are lying, Andrew? All 13 women? This man hates Cuomo so much, he is standing up for women as a Republican. This dude hates Cuomo with all his heart. Or this dude hate Cuomo so much. And then the second debate was even worse. There was a moment in the second debate where the candidates were allowed to ask each other a question. It was just question and answer. They couldn't go back and forth. You just got a question, you had to answer. And Cuomo went over on Mamdani and he was like, you took a picture with this leader in Uganda. Did you know that this leader is actually someone who denounces all rights for gay people? They've actually worked on making it illegal to be gay in Uganda, and you took a picture with them. And Zohran answered, listen, at the time, I did not know this person's policies. I took a picture with this person. If I had known, I would not have taken that picture, full stop, right? And then it was Zohran's turn. And Zohran asked, he was like, Mr. Cuomo, in 2021, you were credibly accused by 13 women of sexual harassment. And in that time, you spent $20 million of taxpayer funds to defend yourself from all of these women. And you've lobbed, lawsuits, and you've worked with judges for gag orders and everything. You filed defamation suits on all these women. You have actually tried to obtain gynecological medical records of some of these women. Well, one of those women, Charlotte Bennett, is actually here tonight in the audience. And she can't even tell her story or speak for herself because you've lodged a defamation suit against her. But I can speak, so I want to ask on all of their behalfs, what do you say to the 13 women that accused you of sexual harassment? And it's in that moment I realized I wasn't hating to my full potential as a person. You know what I mean? Like, I am a C-tier hater when it comes to this level of hate is unprecedented. I thought Kendrick hated Drake. This is truly wild. Because what can you do if you're Cuomo? I'll tell you what he did. He went, You went to Uganda? Truly, I have not seen a face like that on a person. Like Andrew Cuomo's face when it was happening. I hadn't seen anyone make a face like that since my friend won his arm wrestling contest. I feel like the same thing was happening to Cuomo that happened to my buddy. Very bad. Whew. And Zohran is still leading in the polls, And one of the reasons that I think that he's still leading is because some of these efforts to to stop Mamdani have only helped him. Only helped him, because billionaires have come out in force against every policy and against Zohran as a candidate. And that says a lot. They're like accidentally making him more popular. You know? President Trump even said that if Zohran wins, he may have to mobilize the National Guard, take over New York City, which would be not just like a spit in the face to an open, free, and fair election, but what messaging does that look like to you? That you might have to send the National Guard and take over a city if the dude who wants free pre-K wins? No? Like all their efforts, they've spent so much money. Zohran himself has said, y'all are spending way more money on ads trying to campaign against me than I was even gonna tax you. You don't want it that bad, and why don't you want it that bad? That's crazy. There's something happening here, and I think that's why it's got so much tension across the nation. I think that, you know, America's very good at telling a story, and America is a salesman unto itself. It's like a salesman of a dream and of an idea, you know. And people, you know, one of the things that Trump and other people have said about Zohran is that he's a communist. He says he's a socialist, but he's a communist. And maybe that would have worked like 20 years ago. That might have worked. But we are a capitalist country. We all live in capitalism. And it's going poorly enough for enough people that they're willing to try anything. So calling someone a communist, this sort of Russia red, China red scare, it just doesn't hit the same when people are working jobs and still can't afford to feed their families. And then along comes someone with not just a lot of energy, but a lot of hope that says it doesn't have to be this way. Look at what they do over there. If we just did what they do over there, we'd be able to have more things for us, which is our money anyway. A lot of people have this misconception that the money that a corporation makes is all theirs and was all earned. But they got that money from how much they pay their workers, how much they actually provide for their consumers. And you see that when left up to their own devices, they skimp on, let's say it's just food, they skimp on ingredients, they skimp on workers, they skimp on. And then one day when they have $1 billion valuation, we look at them as if to tax them would be taking their $1 billion instead of just taking back what is owed to the people that made them great. You know? And so I think that what is so scary for people about Zohran that really don't like him is that he is a reminder to a lot of people that you are a citizen, you're not a consumer, you are a constituent, you're not a customer. Like the story that gets told now, especially by our politicians, is that if you ask for what is owed to you, what is actually yours, you're asking for a handout. But you already paid for these things, and you pay them. So the idea that these people would all stand together in unison against this person who just wants to make the bus free should tell you something. And all of them stand together against him in the way that they are, with all the money they're throwing at him, and with all the fear-mongering that they're doing, it's having the opposite effect. Because now, to vote for him, even if you don't even like him, you get to stick it to a billionaire, people you already don't like. So what you've accidentally done is made voting for him like kind of cool as well. It would be like if you didn't want someone to date someone else, but the way that you lobbed things at them, the things that you said about them to try to discourage this person from dating this other person would be like if you sat them down and said, oh, you don't want to get with him. No, his penis too big. He's just... Have y'all seen the Civil War taking place? All right, if you haven't heard, that's fine. That just means you live in a functional life because what I'm talking about happened on Twitter. Elon Musk came through and was like, hey, we actually really need
in America H-1B visas. And these H-1B visas are how people from other countries come here and have, pretty great jobs by some standards. These are like sometimes developing jobs, some of the engineering jobs, and like just stuff of that nature. This isn't like one of your regular visas, and it's not like a visa that we have with a specific country. Like there are E3 visas that we have with places like Australia because they're white, and that's like that. That's a thing that we have with lots of different countries. So there's a certain amount of visas that are agreements between the countries, and we don't have it with every single country in the world. But even with like Uganda, we might have a few that are these specific visas that Ugandans can get or something, as an example, right? But the H-1Bs have a lot to do with jobs because with your H-1B visa, if you lose your job, right, you have to leave. But Elon is like, these H-1Bs are actually great. And Vivek Ramaswamy is also like, these H-1Bs are fantastic, right? Now, the reason that billionaires like H-1B visas is because people who are very talented from other countries will come, and they're usually, not always, but a lot of times are sending money back to their home country for their family, right? And so they, due to the exchange rate, don't really have the same amount of demands as an American worker. Like an American worker, $100,000, it means something different here than it means to someone coming here, right? $100,000, you might still be like, okay, I'll have a place to live, but I won't be able to do much. I can't take a vacation. If I get hurt, I'm immediately going to go into medical debt because I don't have insurance. Like $100,000 is a lot of money, but you're still thinking about how you're going to move through life as an American, right? But if you're coming from somewhere, especially if you're coming from somewhere where this is the biggest opportunity you've had up until this point, you're thinking $100,000. Okay, look, I can have roommates. I don't care about having roommates. I'll have as many roommates as it takes to keep as much of that $100,000 after taxes that I'm going to keep in my pocket, so that way I can send money home, and the money that I send home due to the exchange rate is fantastic, right? So now I can maybe even retire my parents off of this $100,000, $120,000 job back where I'm from. So when they come over here, they are working these like crazy hours. Like we're talking like 80-hour work weeks, fluctuations, and what the job description is and stuff like that. And they don't complain, because if they complain, they could be fired. And if they get fired, they're immediately deported. They start all over again, right? So that's why Elon and Vivek love H-1B visas. So MAGA as a movement is very upset with this sort of thing, because the whole idea of Trump winning and Elon and Vivek making that Department of Government Efficiency, which is only named that so that it will be called Doge, which is low-key one of the most unserious things I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, that was when I was like, oh yeah, we're cooked. That's very bad. Y'all, if you had gone back 20 years and told somebody that eventually there would be someone, I mean, these are like made up jobs. Like Trump would actually have to do what they say to make them official. Right now, they don't even really exist in theory, right? It's just an idea of what might happen. I mean, who knows now? But like, if you went back 20 years and you told someone eventually there would be a government body that only had its name so it could be the acronym CAKE, I'm sure that person 20 years ago would ask, when did all the smart people die? And so Vivek tweets and Elon tweets, and everyone, I don't know, it's so bad. Okay, so basically, MAGA sees the H-1B visas as like taking American jobs, and not in a Mexican immigrant way. Not in the way of like, they're coming over here and they're selling fruit I didn't really want to sell fruit anyway, but like they're selling the fruit. I don't know how I feel about that. It's not like that. It's like, no, LinkedIn is empty. And you're talking about H-1Bs coming over here and getting the jobs that I went to college for. And then Elon basically said, hey, y'all way too stupid to do these jobs, which is so out of pocket. That's so crazy. That, in a weird way, this whole ordeal almost made me feel kind of bad for MAGA as a movement, because when you think about it, a lot of why MAGA started is because, whether you want to put them in quotations as elites or like coastal elites or just people with money, those people for a long time, and this is something that I don't like, that I've seen for a long time, because it's a city rule thing that we do to each other a lot, where there are a lot of city people that look down on like rural people in a rural lifestyle, because they're like, oh, you're not educated. But then the people in the rural areas look at city people and they're like, you actually can't keep yourself alive. Do you know what I mean? Like you I know you've read more than me, but like, how do you... Where does water come from? Tell me where water comes from. Oh, the bottle? Oh, okay. Oh, it comes from a bottle. That's cute. All right. Because don't get me wrong, as well-educated city people who I've been around, I've lived in lots of different places, and I travel around the country as often as I can, so I do my best to meet everyone so I can understand. I want to have as many pieces of the puzzle as I can to see where people are coming from, how we get places, right? And when I tell you that there are people who I know are very smart, very, very intelligent people, very smart people, but when you tell them that water comes from the ground, they look at you like, well, you must be drinking dirty water, because not my Icelandic, no. Guys, so Elon basically says y'all are like way too dumb to do these jobs. Like, I've seen your American schools, I've seen your colleges, and your colleges don't even match other countries' high schools. And the sort of general MAGA response to that was like, well, okay, but you agreed with us for the past like 4 or 5 years that the American college system was broken and that it's too woke and that we need to fix it and we need to change things up. And he was like, yeah, but you still dumb. Like that doesn't change. I don't think Yeah, I don't like it either, but that doesn't make you smarter that you went to a dumb school. And so then they lose it. And then MAGA was like, oh, okay, I didn't know you felt that way, you South African. It's hard to find a whiter man than Elon Musk. Like no, I mean, like literally and figuratively in a sense, because he's very. Oof. You know what I mean? Like the sun, not a friend, right? But the way they were calling that dude African, just you ever? Because they're like African, but then I'm an African American, and that I've never had racism miss me like the Matrix. That like nearly broke my brain when they were like, you African, and I was reading it like Oh, yeah, that, geez. Wow, okay. All right. Elon has the most money in the world, the richest man in the world. And this is how you know that the path to riches is a dead end. Because this man has always had money, and he has more money than anybody. And he plays with different people. Sometimes he's number 2 for like a day. Sometimes he's number 1 for a week. But he's richest man in the world, is safe to say, right? I'm sure somebody can pull me up 4 months from now and be like, actually, this other person. It's like, yeah, for 20 minutes. But like, it's richest person in the world, and he's still deeply, deeply missing everything about what a joyous life is. He's the richest person in the world, right? But out of all of that money that he has, all of the money he has, and he has almost all the money that he has, right? He has a cartoonish amount of money. All the money that he has, he wants nothing more. I can tell you this right now, just from watching his moves, just from watching him talk, just from watching how he's interacted, even in this little spat that he's having. I'm not saying that this is the end of MAGA or something, or that the Republican Party's gonna fall apart. I'm saying that just this glimpse, this dude has all of the money in the world. He can have anything that he wants except acceptance, except like actually being in a room and knowing that everyone wants him in that room. He cannot buy being cool. He cannot buy genuineness. There are always going to be people who love Elon or think Elon's dope because they think that he's a genius, because they think that he is going to help them become like him, or just because he has money. But then when you strip all of that away, I don't know Elon, and I don't necessarily care for much of what he does, but I know a person hurting when I see it. Do you know what I mean? I know like a hurt individual when I see it. And this dude has not stopped tweeting since they call him a South African, since it happened. They have been coming for this dude's neck nonstop. And it's like sometimes I don't know. Sometimes you see something, you're like, oh, that's a lot. You know what I mean? I'll tell you how I feel about what's happening to Elon right now. And all right. This may just be me, but there's a video online of this guy. This is right when the Popeyes chicken sandwich dropped, okay? And if you remember that was a time to be alive. You would think that Popeyes didn't serve chicken. You would think that something revolutionary was happening because they took the chicken that they already sell and they put 2 buns on either side of that chicken. People ready to fight over this chicken sandwich, and they were running out, not of chicken, of the sandwich, which means they were only running out of bread. And people were losing their minds over it. They could not. What do you mean you want a chicken sandwich? I waited in this line for 5 hours to get this chicken sandwich just to bite a piece of chicken and with bread on either side of it. I've been waiting all day to have this chicken sandwich. Meanwhile, Chick-fil-A was next door being like, y'all, we hear all the time. Like, it's like, nobody wants that right now. I want the Popeyes chicken sandwich. And so there's a video where this guy is, I believe he's in Georgia. He might be in Atlanta, which also makes this thing very poor judgment. But this dude is in Atlanta. He's a white dude, right? And everyone else in the Popeyes is black. And I don't know how long he's been waiting. I don't know why he's so mad, but he's stomping around, right? And he's stomping around and getting in people's faces and stuff. He's like, "Where's my sandwich?" And then finally he goes up to somebody. He's like, "Get out of my way now!" And like it's just going back and forth, right? And then finally his sandwich is ready. He snatches the sandwich. He's like, "Give it to me!" And then he pushes somebody out of the way. And the person filming him is just like, "Oh no, oh no." Fast forward like 5 seconds, maybe 10. He's in the parking lot, sort of folded up. Because somebody beat his ass. Because, you know, yeah. And so then, and not only are they beating his ass, but he's clearly folded up and sitting down now, and they've still put a hand on his shoulder just to create leverage and are like uppercutting him a couple times, right? And so then after like the second or third uppercut, they walk off with his bag, and the person filming goes, "Oh, y'all ain't gotta take a sandwich though." Which is weirdly, I don't know, which is a very short, but a very poignant, like lesson about racism, or at least how people who experience racism treat the people who are racist towards them, right? Because even in this hateful thing, there's this line that's like, "Oh, okay, but that was enough." Do you know what I mean? And so when there are people who rarely or never experience racism, and it's a new feeling, it's a new type of anger, it's a new type of hurt, they're not gonna know what's enough because they're not practiced in what it feels like to find a level with it. Do you know what I mean? There are things that happen in the world, and they're sick and they're racist, and then it's not something that you can always change or resolve, but you have to move on with your life. You have to live, you know? So you can fight back as best as you can, and you can distance yourself as best you can, create safety as best you can, but that will be out there. So when like someone who is not used to the practice of dealing with that thing feels it for the first time, nothing will ever be enough. And so because nothing is enough, they went after Elon in a way where I was like, "Oh, y'all ain't got to do all that." Because they hurt Elon feelings so bad that this dude went on a burner account on Twitter and joined Space. If you don't know what Spaces are, it's where you can talk. It's literally just like this chat room, this like audio chat room where everybody can talk, or just the moderator can talk or whatever. And he went in this audio chat room with a voice modulator and started defending himself with the voice modulator, being like, actually, like, Elon like a good person and stuff, like, y'all actually being hella out of pocket when it comes to Elon. That's not fair at all what y'all said. And you especially were very rude. And I would say it'd be helpful if y'all would like apologize to Elon, because I don't know him at all, but he seems like a reasonable dude. So if y'all like would chill out, I'm sure he would forgive you and stuff. Like he a cool guy. And I don't know what was said. I do not know what happened. But something was said that was so, I'm assuming, hateful or out of pocket or just wrong, that I don't know how this happened. All I know is Elon apparently, because this is all hearsay. Like I watched the thing and I'm 90% sure it's real, but like, apparently this dude got so mad he either got his mouth too far from the voice modulator or turned it off, because then this dude in his full Elon voice was like, "Wait, watch who you talking to right now." But like, he like fully dropped it. He was like, "Well, forget y'all too then. I hate everybody in here. Y'all can all go to hell." Because then Vivek also tweets one of the oddest. First of all, it's too long. This is another thing that happened, because as soon as they took that like 150 character sort of like thing off of Twitter, and it kind of killed the thread of Twitter, because the thread was how you knew you were telling a good story. Like the thread, I've read threads that were 220 parts. Because every part, there was no fat on that story. The whole thing is so insane. And every 140 characters keeps you hooked for the next 140 characters. I've read Twitter threads that should be movies, right? Because you had to use an economy of words. You had to actually be a writer to convey your ideas, and you did it in the long... I was scrolling for the entire afternoon. And even when I got to the end, I was like, damn. And now, you know, you can just do the whole thing. So then Vivek does this whole thing, and he's like, basically, if America wants to win, and if Americans want to win, and by the way, when I say Americans for a little while here, when I say Americans, just there's a subtext for everyone talking that they mean white Americans. Just so you know, because sometimes people say Americans, and then well-meaning people go, no, we're all... And I'm like, all right. So Vivek is like, if Americans want to win, then, you know, it comes down to culture. And right now, your culture is trash. It's basically... It's basically a bunch of jocks looking at people who read like they're the dumb ones, even though the jocks are the dumb ones. And we're obsessed with, like, I don't know, like pretty stuff, shiny stuff and everything. And if you pick up some books and if you do a little less, I don't know, like Instagram, whatever you do, maybe you'll be worth hiring. That's at least how it sounded. And I was not that pressed about the whole Vivek thing. One, because I knew he wasn't talking to me. And two, because I've heard this sort of thing my entire life. No one is more used to this type of condescension than black people. You know what I mean? Because with black people, we're the ones where we're like, hey, I did all the stuff you said to do. I went to the right school, actually got a scholarship. I did the internship, and I am passionate about this field. Can I get a job? And they're like, ah. We already have a black. We already have a black. His name is Mike, because he tricked us. We already have a... Look, we would hire you. We would hire you. But the boss's dumbest cousin needs a job, and so we're going to have to give it to him. But, I don't know, keep applying, and then maybe if Mike dies... we'll need a black, so then you can do it. Do you know what I mean? Like that's just a general reality. And so to hear Vivek talk to white people like this was wild. That was so apart, because then the comments were all like, but I did all the stuff, and he's like, yeah, no, I know. But you're dumb. Like, I don't know what to tell you. I would never hire you, you know? And he doesn't say that. He doesn't say that exactly, but that's what he implies throughout the whole thing. And then he stops responding because it's thousands of people. But I don't know. There were so many people that came out and they were like, look, what the whole reason that we joined this MAGA movement, the whole reason that we thought Trump being in office was a good thing is because it would mean more good jobs for Americans. And look, if you genuinely believed that, then I don't. You know what I mean? No, I'm not being a dick. I'm saying, like, if you genuinely believe that, then like that's bad. You know how? This happened. This thing happened, and I I worry sometimes. I think about this a lot, and I think about this with every like topic that I talk about, or any joke I tell or story I decide to talk about. That like, I would like to believe that like, I would like to believe that empathy, compassion, and kindness are the way forward and will get us somewhere. I don't know if that's true. I want that to be true. I think if you make your obsessions community, culture, connection, and compassion, then I think that there's a way forward. You know, I don't know if that is right. It might be incorrect. It's what I've chosen my best to do, and I'm human, so I'm probably gonna mess it up a lot. But one thing that happens in my mind, what I think of when I think of MAGA, is a story from when I was just getting out of high school. It might have even been my first year of college. No. It was like my second year of college, right? And I was getting off a shift at this restaurant that I worked at, and my friends were picking me up. And when they picked me up, we would hang out on the weekend, you know, all the times that I was back at home, which is where the restaurant that I would work for extra money was. So I would leave college, I'd come back home, work a shift, and then spend the weekend with my friends. And that particular day when they picked me up, I knew I was spending the night at one of their houses. But when they picked me up, they're like, hey, I live in Alexandria at the time. They're like, hey, we're going to, I think we went to Opelousas or Leesville or something, which is like an hour and a half away or a couple hours away. And when I get in the car, they say this. And I'm like, why are we going to Leesville? And my buddy's like, it's a surprise, right? And so then we get all the way over there. Now, my second friend in the car is about to go away to seminary. So I went to a Catholic school for high school, and you know, I actually like treasure it as an experience, not because of any sort of like religious teaching, but because it gave me a little bit more insight into how people think and how the people around me thought about me and about the world, right? But then there were some people that went to the school that were like, yeah, we'll do this forever. And he was one of them. He was like, I'll just be a priest, because that was his track, right? And so then we get to where we're going, and it's a strip club. And so my one buddy had decided that because our second friend was about to go be a priest, he should at least see titty, just to be sure. Just in case. That he should see what they, you know, that they round and beautiful and so. And so then, you know, we go inside, and I'm okay. I'm also like taking a back. Like my friend that's going to seminary is like, actually, I guess I'm going to hell, because he's looking around. He's like, right? I'm just generally slightly uncomfortable because I was like a late bloomer, sort of like accepting myself and like accepting my. I guess the way I come off to people and stuff. And so I'm still like this awkward, tight, you know, as soon as I walk in, right? I'm nervous, and he's nervous for like different reasons. He's like, you know what I mean? And so then our buddy who took us, who was driving, buys my friend who's going to seminary lap dance. And so it's not just any lap dance. It's a lap dance in the private room. And so I was like, you gonna give that boy a heart attack, and then he gonna die, and then he gonna be there, and then be like, look, I did everything right, but I will say I did die at a strip club. That shouldn't even be on me, because I didn't know we were going there. But she started rubbing up on me, and it was too perfect. I thought it was one of your angels, all right? And so then I got excited, and then my left arm started to hurt a little bit, and now I'm here. But that shouldn't even be on me, okay? I didn't drive myself, I didn't do it. And so then, he goes private room, lap dance, and he comes out of the room, a new man. The dude comes out of the room. I don't know what happened in the room. I'm assuming dancing, but this dude walks out of the room like he had to do all the dancing. He walked out the room disheveled. And he goes up to our friend and he's like, "Do you have money for one more dance?" My friend pays for another dance and he goes back. And, while he's in the room, I had my own journey. Because I was at the strip club and I was just sipping on a Sprite, because this is back when I still drank soda. I had to quit. It's too spicy. It generally burns my chest. Like it's too much, right? But back in the day, I would hit a Sprite, and so I was sipping all this Sprite, and this one dancer walks by, and she does this thing where she basically like massages the back of my neck as she's walking by. But I am not used to being in strip clubs. I'm also not used to people coming on to me, so I thought it was a spider. So And so I thought it was a spider, so I started swinging. And I didn't hit anything, but I still was like... And then later, another dancer came over and she sat across from me. And she was like, "Hey, how you doing?" I was like, "I'm good." She's like, "What's your name?" I was like, "I'm Josh." And she's like, what brought you in today?" I was like, "Oh, my friend, he's gonna go to seminary." And so we brought him here. To make sure. I don't really know what the plan is. And she's like, "Oh, okay, yeah, that's a funny story. You're funny." And I was like, I didn't say anything funny. And he's like, "Oh, well, you're kind of cute." And I was like, "Oh, thank you." So you want to buy me a drink? And I was like, "Oh, yeah, sure. Do you want a Sprite?" I'm drinking a Sprite. And then she smiled, very sweet smile, and then she got up and pushed her chair in and walked over to some of the other dancers. And she was, I don't know if she knew I could hear her. There was music playing, so I know she was yelling it to let them know, but I was still within earshot when she said, she gets up and she goes to the other lady. She's like, "Oh, y'all, don't worry. He's slow. Don't..." And so then our friend who's going to seminary comes out after the second dance, and then whatever happened the first time happened worse the second time, because Now he like walking out, but he's sort of holding his arm too, and he's like, do you have money for one more dance? Our buddy gives him money, and he goes in there, and you know, I'm sitting with my buddy who brought him, and he's the only one out of all of us who's like chill in this situation. And like I don't know if he was like a cool guy anyway, but maybe he had just been to strip clubs before, but he was just not fazed. He was just like, oh, I'll get you a drink, yeah. And then our buddy comes out. Comes out of the private dance room, and honestly, nothing working. I was worried that he had lost his sight. Because he walked out like, do you? And our friend says, I'm sorry, man, but that's all the money that I had. You know, it's probably best that we head home now anyway. And we get in the car, we're headed back, and it's not that long before. It's not like silent. We play a little music and stuff, but nobody's really talking. And then finally, our buddy that's going breaks the silence, and he's like, I don't know if I can go to seminary. In that moment, I had my own dilemma, because I was like, does that shouldn't land on me though. Like I shouldn't. That shouldn't be any of my hell though, because we technically broke he was a pre-priest, but like there's gonna not be a priest now because of what happened tonight. But that's not on me, because I didn't drive us here. And I didn't have a ride, so then and Uber wasn't a thing yet, so I couldn't have gone, and it would have been too expensive anyway, so I was just along for the ride, and now I'm in here, and then he talking about he not gonna... And then he's like, yeah, I don't know, I might have to think about it, because, I think Cherry loves me. And I think I love her too. And so when I think about MAGA, it feels like they love this dude, and he thinks, oh, I have their love, I'm good. And they think we love him and he loves us. But he's just up there dancing. And don't get me wrong. He is good at dancing. He is. Like when you watch him dance, you're like, that was at least funny, or it was like, oh, it's so weird. But no matter what, no matter how he dances, everybody talks about it. You know, and I think that with Vivek and with Elon, you know, they're real businessmen, and so they think about their business and how to improve it, how to make more money, how to make sure that they have people that aren't going to unionize, aren't going to stir up trouble or anything. And MAGA is genuinely in this place. You don't get to MAGA in a vacuum, you know? Yeah, I mean, I think there's a general social contract and understanding of what America is supposed to be for Americans, and the differences that we have, the way that we butt heads is the interpretation of that contract, right? For some people, that contract is just the Constitution, and they actually like live by it. They're actually like, no, it says this, so we should do this, right? And that's one way to take it. That's fine. And then there are people like me. There are people that at any point in American history have been deemed different or other, that see the contract as something that you might get by happenstance of having money, but is not going to be given to you outright. And then there are white Americans who believe in the contract, and they believe a part of the promise that's like unspoken, which is all of this, you'll have access to all of it. All of this is yours by virtue of you following the rules and doing what you're supposed to do because this is your country. And so when Elon and Vivek, who are not the right white, do you know what I mean? Because when Elon crossed MAGA, he became a South African real quick. Like that was. And Vivek, I don't know, y'all, bro, you were never in. Like you were never. But when they made these points, and when they gave a lot of that movement what is genuinely some of the hard truth, it's like, all right, if you think college is broken and woke and whatever, if that really is your opinion that you hold, then you do your best to change the thing. You don't throw the thing out. You don't go, guys, I don't like gender studies, so now math is also gay. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you don't like gender studies, then don't major in gender studies. Like that's a quick and easy path to not have to deal with gender studies. This should just be like, I will just do the And so I don't know how the war is gonna end. You know what I mean? I don't, because it's weird. I thought this would take at least until February. Y'all have been phenomenal. Thank you so much. Y'all have a great night. I appreciate you.